Today we're going to share with you our interim off-grid water solution. Before we get started on that though, I want to call your attention to two videos we've already made. One, we discussed our first year off-grid RV water solution in a different video. In that video we talked a little bit about how we use water jugs to get started. And this is a very viable solution when you first arrive to your blank slate property. We in fact did this for about 8 months, and we had a gravity feed system that we used to fill our RV. Worked fantastic. Then we did a second video kind of talking about all the different options, including cisterns, rain barrels, wells, things like that. So we want to call your attention to those two videos because they really complement this video well. Now we want to share with you what we're calling our interim water solution. We ran into some roadblocks with the water jugs eventually, and we needed to at least make a progressive step forward with water, although this is not a permanent solution. So we want to share with you kind of what we're doing now, how the system is designed, and how it's working for us. For those who haven't seen our other videos, an important part of this discussion is where do we get our water from? We actually bring it in, and so one of the problems we had was getting enough water. Storage wasn't even a conversation just yet. So we actually upgraded from water jugs to a food grade IBC tote, and we use our small utility trailer to transport water from a community water source. So now we're able to transport about 200 gallons, maybe 225 gallons per trip that we can then store on the property. This tank we found on Craigslist and we paid $200 for it. If you just look around, you'll find that there are suppliers who can get you these tanks food grade for around a couple $100. The cost to fill this tank one time for us is about 75 cents. That means that our water bill, just as it pertains to the water, not the time and the fuel and all those expenses, is about $3 a month. The next problem was getting water to the top of the hill. I don't know why, but Alyssa threw a huge fuss when I told her just to carry it to the top of the hill. So we had to upgrade. We decided to get her, for her 1 year off-grid anniversary, a water pump. I'm just kidding, we bought the water pump period. So this is a 1/2 horsepower Wayne transfer pump. It runs off of our generator, it's about 8 amps, and it easily pumps up 70 feet of head. That's a long ways. So this pump is critical to our system. We pump from here up to the top of the hill. We'll show you the storage tank that we have in just a moment. This is pretty simple to operate. It takes us about an hour, a little bit more than an hour, to pump 225 gallons to the top of the hill. And that translates into about 2.5 to 3 weeks worth of water. So for about an hour, we're pumping, and then we have water for 2.5 to 3 weeks. Next, we run the water through a series of Ys, and the reason for this is because we're actually running a single line uphill. So the same pipe that the water comes down from the storage tank to our usage is the same pipe it goes uphill with. So we run a high flow Y, and that's important for the pumping because most Ys that you buy are extremely restricted, and they're work to pump really hard and you don't get hardly any flow at the top of the hill. So this valve and the Y system is all high flow. It means that while we're pumping, we still have water at our RV and that we can use, but we're also pumping uphill. Once we stop pumping, we're able to then just use the gravity feed water. The nice thing about this system is it reduces the amount of pipe that you have to lay, but it doesn't cause you to lose water flow when you're pumping uphill. So even though we're pumping uphill right now, I actually still have water pressure that we can access at the RV. Just worked out that way. One of the reasons that we bought this property was because it has a vertical ascent near the dwelling area, and that allows us to use gravity feed. Because we're off-grid, using pumps or any type of powered equipment becomes challenging. First of all, we don't have a lot of solar just yet, so using gravity is a great solution for us. So what we've done is placed our storage tank at the top of our hill, and because this is a temporary system, we actually just laid pipe on the surface of the ground and ran it down to where we can access it with our valve and our Ys. A quick tip, if I had to do it over again, I probably would use PEX. It's a hindsight thing. So this is working well for us now. It was very affordable, but if you're gonna do something temporary like this, maybe take a look at PEX.
The way we determine who has to go up the hill to do anything with water is we have a coin toss. If it's heads, Jesse goes, and if it's tails, Jesse goes.
Ah! I lost again.
Up he goes.
Oh gosh, I have to go up the hill again. All right, and the last component of our water system is this holding tank. It is a 625-gallon poly tank. The reason we chose this size, really simple. We're actually exchanging the water in the tank about every month, so it doesn't sit in the tank for very long. It seems to be plenty cool up here, even when it's hot out. The shade helps to keep the water temperature moderate. And we've actually just put a small valve, a ball valve, on the outlet. And then we put a T and a small spout so that we can fill the tank. And everything's working really well. We purchased this tank locally, and I think we paid around $350 for it. And we do keep the tank secure by placing a hasp and a lock on the lid. There's actually another motivation for buying this size of tank. See, later we intend to go to a full-size cistern, maybe 1,700 gallons or so, and this tank will then serve as our transport tank. So a little bit of a multi-dimensional purchase there. A couple of questions we've already received about our water system I can answer for you right away is, do we do anything to treat the water, or do we have any algae or anything like that? The answer is no, we don't do anything additional. This water comes from a community water source, so it's actually already got some chlorine in it to help with that. Because we're exchanging the water every month, it does not stay in the tank for very long. And we're not in a humid, high heat climate. We're in a northern climate, so even though it gets warm, it does not get hot for extended periods of time. So we don't have any issues with the condition or quality of the water. The other question that we get pretty often is, what is water pressure like? And because we have 70 feet of vertical drop between our tank and our outlet, I found some calculations on the internet, and just to keep it simple, you're looking at about 0.43 pounds of water pressure per foot of drop. That's a very complicated calculation, but for this instance, we went with that, and that's about what we have. We have around 30 to 31 PSI at the outlet, which is more than enough for everything we use it for: watering the garden, washing vehicles, filling our hot tub, and doing dishes, running the RV, shower, sink, all those things. So is this a good long-term water solution? Not really. We are in a northern climate, and we do have sustained freezing temperatures, so for the long term, we're going to have to get a tank buried in the ground. The other option obviously would be to build a tank so big that it wouldn't freeze, but that's not really a viable option for us today. And then also, obviously, we're gonna have to bury the pipe. It's just good policy, but we have to, because the water will absolutely freeze come winter. And there's a lot of other things that, you know, this doesn't really do. Like, we can't clean the tank if we needed to. We don't really have an outlet and then like a cleaning outlet or anything to drain any sediment away. But all of that said, this tank has met our needs. We wanted to have some water on the property to fight fire if we needed to, because we do have forest fires here pretty frequently. In fact, before we bought the property, someone threw a cigarette butt out on the highway and almost burned our property down. So it was peace of mind for us to have that water available. We also recently built a DIY cedar hot tub, and we struggled to get that tub to seal up, and we wanted to have water on the property to keep it full. And also, it's made life in the RV a lot easier. We weren't really using a lot of water before, and I don't think we're really using much more water now, but just not having to add water every day sure is a lifesaver. And lifting those water jugs did kind of fatigue us a little bit. There was always some risk of injury, and this system just has a lot less risk. The cost of this entire water system, including the IBC tank, the pump, the storage tank, and the plumbing, was around $750. So for that value, it was worth it to us to have more water on the property and the increased convenience. Really, this system isn't a long-term solution, and we understand that, but we're moving towards self-sufficiency, and it doesn't happen overnight. But what we can say positively about this system that we have now is it's taught us a lot about water transportation, water storage, moving water, gravity-fed water systems, all things that we have to learn in order to live this off-grid life. So while we don't have a well today, we wouldn't even have the power to pump the water out of a well if we had one today, because that's a whole nother subject about creating power. But the point is, they're really great lessons that we've learned through going through this, and it was very affordable for us. It fit our budget and it meets our needs. So we look forward to doing a more thorough water system later. If you'd like to learn more about that and follow us along on our water journey, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also follow us on our blog. We do a lot of blogging and write-ups on our blog that we do not put on YouTube. They're just not good video stuff. So follow us over there, and we'll see you in the next video.